Dominic, wedding DJ.
And this is Serena, wedding planner.
And together we are
The Wedding Duo.
We are here to talk all things weddings.
Planning a wedding can be stressful, but we are here to help.
So before you say, that's it, we're going to Vegas, don't go to Vegas.
Let's have some fun.
Join us as we answer your wedding questions and help navigate planning one of the biggest days of your life with
The Wedding Duo.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Wedding Duo podcast.
Here we are.
Did you like that inflection? That was nice.
I mean, I was trying to match you on
Okay, go. Do it. Match me.
Gamey game show that we're doing here today.
Who's our contestants today on the Wedding Duo podcast?
Actually, it's just us today. So
everyone's like, "Aw."
I know. So sad. We just had the most fabulous wedding in Texas, in the Hill Country, San Antonio Hill Country area.
It really was fabulous. I mean,
all of our weddings are fabulous, but like, I just can't tell you guys how this dance floor, like, they were singing so loud for
I had them dialed
2.5 hours. Like, it was epic. I mean, everything else was amazing too, but the party was just like,
But
wow.
I set the stage pretty early. It's the thing I've been doing lately. You may have seen it on a few. You haven't been with me on every wedding I've done.
Right.
But at the end of dinner, people are spread out. They're talking. The din in the room is loud. So I usually try to get everybody's attention and back to their seats because we're going to do usually toasts or speeches from whoever, the next person giving the thing. But I want to get everyone's attention. So I can say 3 or 4 announcements and eventually I just kind of give them a shh, whatever. But
Yep.
I do this thing where I play Frankie Valli, Can't Take My Eyes Off of You. And it's a song I've used for introductions a bunch, but right when it gets to the part where it's like, da-na, 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 da, and it gets to the part I'm like, all right, before we get to the next part of our event, we're going to do a sing-along. Everybody sing. And everybody's like, I love you, babe. And oh my gosh, the whole room, if they're not singing, like 3/4 of the table they're sitting at starts to sing.
Yes.
And they nailed it. You heard
this group. Yeah.
They were so loud. What were we, about 150, 160 people? And the average venue size, it was so loud. I was like, oh my gosh.
They were ready. They were like on
ready.
the edge of their seats, ready to dance.
But it's a great focus, gets everyone's attention for sure. And even if they're like trying to have a conversation and not listening, there was no ignoring what was happening in the room there. And it was super fun. And then I turned it down. I go, okay, let's get started. And I go, no, one more time. And then I love you, because the next verse hits. Anyway, it's really fun. It's really kind of gets everyone in a good jovial mood, kind of shakes off if there's any grogginess after having that fabulous meal. But man, they were just really a fun group, wonderful couple.
Yeah, and their families too, right? Like, the father of the bride was just, okay, first of all, he was the one there in the morning with me setting up the centerpieces.
Yeah, which
he
is
was
rare.
responsible because, get this, guys, he wanted his wife, who was very involved in the planning. Like, don't get me wrong, she was amazing beforehand.
She wrote us a novel of a review, which was really nice.
Yeah, she did, actually, just yesterday. But he wanted her to be able to hang out with their daughter in the bridal suite. And he said, I'm going to take care of the decor and helping the planner with the decorations and all that. I mean, it was so sweet, just the dynamic between the families. And, that's what you hope for, planning your wedding and having that support on wedding day. It was really wonderful.
Well, before we start topic, since you mentioned her dad, he did the most dad thing ever. And as a dad, I really supported this. He came up to me with a thumb drive and he goes, I have this video that I took when she was 8, 7, 8. And she was having a mood. She was like grumpy. And I can't even really understand what she said, but she was like, Dad, rah, 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 and she barked something. And he says in the video, again, she's in her 20s getting married.
Yeah.
In the video, he says, I can't wait to show this to you on your wedding day. 7-second clip, saves it years, decades later, plays it, has me play it
during his
speech. And I was like, that is the most dad thing ever.
It was so cute.
It was very cute.
Oh my gosh, adorable, right?
It was funny. But there you go. Heads up to anybody out there who has a dad like me, I guess. You may have said something like, Dad.
Yeah. And now with like video, right? Everywhere on your phone, you've got to be careful because Dad will post it on your wedding day.
I'm always ready
for everyone to see.
I've got my phone set to the camera on a holster on my belt, like quick draw McGraw. Got to catch that video before you miss it, because it's easy to miss that stuff, right?
Absolutely. And especially like we're moving and grooving at weddings. Okay, so let's get to today's topic. And we're going to talk about our membership. We're going to take a deep dive into why we created the membership, what is included, and why you may want to become a member. And the reason I wanna do this episode is because we get a lot of questions about, like, what is the membership? Like, will
Yeah.
it benefit me? And so hopefully, if you're a regular listener, you'll be able to get some of those questions answered.
And it's very new to us, but also you're
Mhm.
maybe if you follow us on social media, you may have seen us because we've
Mention
been
it.
mentioning it, but we don't want to be like over the top, like, hey, check out the new thing. Because we've always come from a non-salesy,
Mhm.
non-judgmental, here's what you have to do, here's what you can't do. Like we've always been like here's your options. But it started, we've had this PDF, this music planner that you could download, right, off
Yep.
our site. And it was like 30 30
$30.
30
Mhm.
bucks to download it. And all it was 50 songs for the bride to go down the aisle, round about that. 50 to 60 songs for bride and dad that I've used over the years from playlists I've compiled. And I was like, do people really want this? And you were like, let's put it up there. And it's sold a
A lot.
dozen a month, probably, right? And we've been doing, if it's been up there for years, and it's been great. But people have also asked, like, can't we get this in a Spotify playlist? Can I get a Spotify playlist? And I'm like,
So they can listen to the
yeah, so
songs.
they,
Yeah.
because it's hard. You might see a song and I don't know that song. But if you heard it, you'd be like, oh, I do know that one. I love that song. I didn't know that's what it was called. I didn't know that was the artist, whatever. And because even me, like that happens to me where I'm like, I don't think I know it. And somebody will play it. I'm like, I do know it. I mean,
Yeah.
even me, who I'm inundated with music daily, but so that's where it started. We're like, let's figure out a way to get these Spotify lists somehow that people can have access to them as opposed, it's like the PDF, the next phase, right?
Yep.
So that's where it all started. But there's so much more than just
Yeah.
the
And for
list, the
me
playlists.
for me, it actually kind of morphed to, like, not only the resources, but there's 2 sides to the membership, okay? So there's, like, the membership side, which includes lessons, videos, links, forms like he's talking about. But then there's the other
Playlist.
side that includes the community. And the community on my end came from being part of, like, Facebook groups for brides and Reddit
Reddit.
threads, and really witnessing the kind of judgment and maybe not healthiest environment out there for couples planning their wedding if they're trying to get a question answered. I started to see where a bride might say, like, I'm not posting my question because I'm afraid of what's
Here they
gonna.
come, the
Yeah,
trolls,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
judgment. You know what we should call it? Instead of Reddit, let's call it Dread It because you
I
really
mean, it's
should.
not
You really
all
should.
terrible,
I
but
mean,
there's
you're right.
just a
It's a
lot.
resource, but it's like you got to be able to filter through the stuff, the hate and the negativity, and it's not all there, but it's there. It's not, I mean, social media, we get it some, and we're like the most
Positive people.
positive. We try to be really positive. Even when somebody says something negative, and Serena's like, "I'm gonna reply." I'm like, let it go. Don't even give them the airtime." Right?
Sometimes they deserve a reply,
They
though.
do, but usually y'all get after them anyway. So we're like, just give it a minute, and then everybody else is like, "It's not your wedding; it's her wedding. She can do what you want." Like that's exactly the response that I wanted to say, but I'll let you
Right.
do it.
Yeah, and so the community aspect is really meant to be and has already become a safe space for you guys to ask questions, to talk to one another, to support each other, and I say to pump some positivity into the planning process. That's a lot of peace.
You know what we should do? We should put the music behind it, like sunshine, lollipops. You think would that be a good welcome to the?
I don't
Too much, too
know.
much.
Yeah, that's a little, like,
But so you want to continue talking about the
sugary.
community side of it before we
Yeah.
get back to okay. So the other thing we do on the community side is we do our meetups, which is very similar to when we used to go live. I haven't done it in a while. After the move, I just didn't get back in the swing of things, but this is kind
Mhm.
of replacing it. And I would go live on TikTok. Usually it was just me because it was hard to like cram us both into the camera screen, but you did it some. But we try to answer all the questions and they would just come through in the comment section, right? But I would never get through all of them because there would sometimes be because it's not like it's an easy answer. Like, hey, I'm dancing with my dad and my stepdad. How do you do that? It's not like a yes, no. Move on to the next question.
Well, you also talk a lot.
I talk a lot, but that's a tough question. I want to make sure I get it all, and there's too much knowledge sloshing around in my head that I want to share all of it every time
And stories.
and
I
stories.
don't know that it's
There I was
necessarily always
in
knowledge,
the beginning, the earth
more
cooled,
stories than knowledge, but that's
but
okay.
but now we're doing it. We're doing our meetups, which is it's alive, right? It's live on stage. We're there.
We're not on stage, we're on
That's a
virtual
comment. It's
camera.
live on stage, right? Me and my friends used to say that. We're like live on stage. This was a long time ago.
I know,
More
I just don't
recent.
want people to get confused and think we're
No,
actually, like, meeting up.
no, it's like a big Zoom call. It's not even
Yeah,
like just comments. People are there. We're interacting. We see your face. It's really
if you
fun.
want, or you don't have
Yeah, you
to.
don't have to. Faith, Faith is always there
Yep.
in the background. I see her name, but she doesn't like to put her camera on, which is totally fine.
She
If you
might be
just
at
want to
work
be,
or something.
yeah, if you just want to be at the aquarium and just watch us chit chat
Jabber
with some other
on.
people, because a lot of the things are things you're like, I always say there's stuff you know and there's stuff you don't know. And then you stumble into this. I didn't even know that I didn't know that. Like you don't
Yep.
like and somebody's like, oh my God, I didn't even think about that. But then like, okay, let's just plant the seed. You have time to digest it. Hopefully, some of the brides that are on there lately are weeks away.
Yeah.
The one girl was on last night in Florida. She'd lost power. She had a little lantern.
She
She
was
had a little
so
lantern
committed to
on her
coming to
phone.
the meetup.
I was like, "Well, I guess the cell phone towers are up where you are." And she's like, "Yeah, but it's spotty." I'm like,
Oh,
"Why aren't
no.
you, like, shoveling sand or making sure everybody
No, it was
your dog is
actually
okay?" I was like, "It's really soon after," but I mean, goodness, she's dedicated.
yeah,
The
absolutely.
lantern.
So
Wait, she
the
was like the little man like you used to see in the movies, like, "Storm's coming," holding the lantern,
Mhm.
but the
Okay.
storm had already come. Sorry, that was what she
That's
reminded
the
me of. She had her
tangents.
little
Remember the
lantern,
stories we
like
just
a little
talked about?
lantern. It was funny.
So there is the community, which is also a way for you guys to interact with each other. We've
Right.
got some challenges in there, a monthly challenge where we give away items. I mean, there's just a lot of fun stuff and ways to get help from not only us, but other engaged couples and
Yeah.
support.
And it's like it's a chat, right? So people can put their comment, you can reply if you like, "Oh, that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Here's what I'm doing," because it's really fun, but it's positive.
We will.
How do we kick somebody out if they start
Oh,
hating?
I'll handle that.
You
It's
got it?
okay.
Oh,
Mhm.
geez. Don't even.
I already have plans for I mean, that is not allowed. That's part of, what people are signing on for is to behave themselves in a way that is supportive and positive. If they have, something that they're worried about or a question that they think, might be controversial, they can always message us privately.
Yeah.
I offer that line of communication to everyone. So,
And it's great. We've had people on that are members currently that have wall-to-wall professionals, right?
yep,
And there's times where I show up at a wedding, there's a planner with her team of 6, there's a photographer with a second shooter, a videographer with a second shooter, and like a pack mule that carries everything. The team of florists are there setting up. The DJ, I mean, it's like, man, they're like everybody because they had the budget to bring in all the professionals.
right.
But the other side of it is if you're DIYing all of it and your cousin's taking pictures and you have a friend that owns a restaurant who's doing the food, I mean, this is even more valuable because
Yep.
you might be just like, I don't have that professional there to bounce this question off of. And we cover more than just DJ for sure. Lots. For example, let's talk about the templates.
Before we talk about the templates,
Okay. So I'm sure you've noticed as you are planning your wedding, it can be a bit stressful. It's a lot. There's a lot of moving parts. And if you really want to help with your stress and maybe get some better sleep, we have something that might help. We'd love to introduce you to True Vega.
Truvaga is a device that you use on the vagus nerve that you can find in your neck.
Mhm.
And Dominic's been using this for, gosh, I think it's been almost a month now,
Yeah.
and he sleeps all the time.
Well, yeah, all the time. But I was teasing our son earlier because he sleeps like the dead. And I was just to say, when I was younger, man, they could steal the bed I was sleeping in. I'd wake up like, "Where's my bed?" Because I slept so well. But you get older, you have kids, you're planning something big like your wedding. It's a lot, and this really has helped me just turn my brain off and get much better sleep.
Yes. And so if you're planning your wedding and you find that you can't relax, that you're having trouble sleeping, this is a great option, something that we would recommend you check out.
So, if you're interested, how do they do this, Serena?
Visit truvega.com/wedding duo for $15 off your order. That's TRUVAGA.com/wedding duo to enhance your wellness journey and get $15 off your Truvega or Truvega Plus device. That's TRUVAGA.com/wedding duo. All right, so back to the templates that you mentioned beforehand. As I mentioned in the beginning, there's two sides. There's the membership, which includes all the lessons and information. And then there's the community, which includes the meetups and the live questions and all of that good stuff. So, on the membership side, what you'll find is different, what they're calling modules. So, they are basically topics for planning your wedding. And within each topic, we have videos, we have links to resources, and we have templates. The first one that is in there that's helpful is that music planner. So the music planner is actually within the membership. You get that as part of being a member. But then there's also the links to the Spotify playlists in the music categories.
And the idea is, I mean, you could even let's pull up the playlist if you're on a road trip or flying somewhere or whatever, and just like, let me just listen to some of these and see if one just speaks to our
Mhm.
relationship. Or if you're looking for a song with your dad, or if the bride is dancing with her mom, or if you have a a child of your own that's 4 or 5, or you're marrying somebody who has a child that's gonna be your step or how whatever the all these different playlists where you're like, "I don't know." And you just
Yeah.
listen to one, you're like, that one really got me," you
Yeah.
know? So that's the beauty of the playlist. There's also one in there, before I forget, we had a bride who one of the Florida brides, where she's like, "I'm just having an aux cord, we're DIYing it. The DJ, the music, we're not having a professional DJ, but we want music, but I don't know what to play." So I created this 5-hour, it's called DIY DJ. Just a 5-hour, like, the hits that are just always kill it, and then just a smattering of variety of there's a
Different
few
genres.
from the former skateboarder, there's the '70s funk, there's the pop, there's just kinda like a little classic rock is in there, some sing-alongs, and it just kinda skims the surface, 3 to 5 songs in a bunch of different categories that might be like, "Oh, I hate those 3, take those 3 out. Here's some other ones," and then that might trigger in your head like, "Oh, not that one, but they have that other one that," and so that's kinda the whole idea to you could just put it on, and she listened to it on the drive to Florida
Who's
because
she?
the bride I was talking about that needed this playlist.
Oh, okay.
And she said, "I'm driving my dress down there," because that was the same bride that was like, "How do I get my dress down there?" We talked about that. She's driving it down in the hurricane, and she goes, "Oh my god, your playlist was awesome." I'm like, "Thank you.
Yeah,
I worked
yeah.
hard on that."
It's super helpful, right? And so that's the resource within the music,
Right.
just the music. And then outside of that, we have some templates in different areas. We have a year checklist, and what that means is it's basically breaking down if you're getting married a year from now, what should you do when? So that kind of helps you stay on track in that regard.
Just that alone, brides are like, "I'm signing up right now," because I don't know, because that's the thing, like, what should I be doing? Because sometimes you're gonna feel like, what should I be doing? I feel like I'm behind, or you're like,
Yeah,
"You're not behind, you're
that's
okay,
a
you're
very
right."
common
Or
emotion.
you're like, "I'm pretty checked up, but did I miss something?" Like,
Yep.
that's a thing, right?
Yeah, so that's super helpful, and there's a budget tracker in there that's gonna help you plan out your budget,
Oh,
and there's
geez.
also
Yes.
within the budget module, there is, suggested budgets for different price points, so you can have help there. We also have a, module on vendors, and there is a template within that module that helps you to keep track of your vendors, has all the contact information, but the other thing that's in there that I think is helpful is the range of pricing that's based on where you live in the US. So sorry, we're not outside the US quite yet, but based on region, like what you can expect to pay for the different
Yeah,
services.
and that's just a starting point, and you're gonna do your own research. You're gonna see a vendor that's really expensive and one that's really not, and you'll be like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Ask a few more questions, look at the reviews, look at the website, all the things you would normally do, because obviously it's your wedding day. It's like that's you don't want one vendor that's like the anchor that's dragging everything else
No,
down, right?
we don't want that.
We don't want that.
And the other piece is the shopping list. So I compiled both our Amazon storefront and our Etsy favorites into the membership as well. So you can link to some of our favorite wedding items, especially for you DIY brides out there. This is so helpful, right? Because there's things like bar napkins and signage and the foam party wands and like all the stuff that you might wanna purchase on your own, you can find the links directly inside the membership.
And I know this has been very fluid, this process, and Serena's done a ton of it behind the scenes. But you put videos of some of the stuff that like so I'm
TikToks.
when I if I'm at a wedding and I did a video on the little there was a napkin with the dog's name on it. He couldn't what was his name? Chicken Nugget.
Yep.
He couldn't attend the wedding, so I said, "Look how Chicken Nugget made it. Like, we miss you, but." And then there were a bunch of people like, "Oh my god, I need that. Where did you get it?" Right? But you get to see the videos of
The
them in
suggestions.
action, and not
Yeah.
just what does it look like, but the actual one that somebody else used at their wedding. The wands, the light up shoes. Did you put the light up shoes in there? We have a video on
I don't
the
think I
bride
have those in
with the
there,
LED
but I
light up
can add
shoes. The
them.
bride was fabulous. She took off the heels and had the remember she was doing the we have a
Mhm,
picture
in
of
the
her
sole of the
wobbling in her
shoe.
shoes. But with the videos, not just there, but the videos, right? That's where all the wedding duo started was just doing these videos. But if you were just go to our TikTok or go to our Instagram, they're just all in there in order of how we've done them basically. But
Mhm.
I'll do a video on, hey, look at this great song, Thousand Years. And somebody's like, that's great, but can you do Strangers by Maddie and Tay? And I'm like, well, I have. I mean, I have done it, but it's just buried in all those
Way
videos
down there.
of the I mean, we gotta be creeping up on 3,000 videos in
Mhm.
there, right? I mean, it's literally so there's a lot of videos. But I'm like, how do you scroll through and try to figure out by the tagline that that's the one? It's just hard. So, the videos are very organized. If nothing else, if you love our videos, they're organized. They're like, if you're looking for a bride entrance, go to the bride entrance module, we're calling it, right?
Well, it's in the music
The
module.
music module under bride's entrance.
And
or
then there's
ceremony
a
music, right?
section
Yeah.
called, don't get these people confused, let me explain it. So there's a music module.
Right?
Within the module, there's lessons on the different types of music. So
There you go.
ceremony music, introductions, bride's entrance. Within that, there is sections called bride's entrance TikToks. And so it's just a section where the most popular bride's entrance TikToks are
Yes,
listed.
and it's whenever somebody says like, "Oh, you should do this one," I'm like, "We've done it," but that's again, I keep saying like, "That's the reason right there," but they're so
So
organized.
helpful.
It's just nice to be able to say, I mean, that's great. I'm not to the point where I'm looking at introduction songs or me and dad. I wanna know coming down the aisle, and there they are, all kind of organized in one spot. You can just say, "That one, that one, that one, that" okay, now you can narrow it down. Let me go back and look at that one again rather than like,
Mhm.
"I lost it.
Yeah.
I sent it to my mom, thank God."
So that
There's a
so
lot of that.
the other thing that we probably should mention is that this is growing. It's definitely at its infancy, right? It only launched on September 16th, so we're barely like 3 weeks in or almost 4. And what we're doing too is as we get feedback from the members, we're putting stuff in there, right? So we had a question, I'll just share an example on what to include in the ceremony, meaning like they were worried about what was going to be said during the ceremony and not having enough substance.
Like the script?
Right, for the officiant. And so I started to think, well, we have all these favorite poems, readings, different types of ceremonies like the sand ceremony, candle lighting, unity ceremonies you can include. And so there's actually now a whole module on what you can include in your ceremony, links to purchase those things. So it's evolving based on what our members need.
Did you put the video in there where I was talking about including lyrics from your first dance in the
Not yet, but
can
I
you do that one?
can.
Because there's a video, I've
Mhm.
almost done it a couple days where I talk about movie quotes. If you're a movie person, you might be a song person, a movie person, a reader. There was a video I just saw where somebody did a beautiful line from or it was a couple lines, couple sentences from Les Miserables from Victor Hugo, not the play or
Mm.
the musical, but the actual book from Victor Hugo. And she read it. She was an English officiant. She said, "Here's something you could include." I'm like, "Brilliant." And I'm like, "Yeah, I could do the one about the just whatever it is." Like there's beautiful writers out there that have incorporated love into their writing,
Yeah.
and you can use that in your ceremony. And so I'm doing one on movie quotes. I do love a good movie quote. And then you can put those videos in there as well, just to give you just to spur the ideas because you're like, you'll see 10 and 15, you're like, nope, 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 nope. And you'll see one like, oh no, that's the one.
Yeah, because
Right?
it needs to apply to your
It needs to
relationship, to
apply.
your personalities.
Yeah. And your things, whatever the things are that you're into.
Yeah. And so to sum it up, really, I mean, it's all there and it's all going to be there, right? And it's going to grow and evolve and morph into this huge resource for couples planning their big
It's
day.
already big. And it's a lot. Some of you are just like, oh my God, I realize. But it's a lot. But it's almost like that's the beauty of the membership is you sign up and then when you're ready to, like we just did one about just the bar
Mhm.
and all the things and you get in the weeds, you're like, geez, just the bar. Don't you just say like, yes, we want booze? And you're like, nope, it's not that easy. There's 1,000 decisions to be made just in that lane of bar. But if you're not ready for that, you're like, you know what? I'm just looking at my dress. I'm piddling around with the music. But when you get to the point where they say, hey, what are we doing for the bar? You go in there, find the stuff about the bar, and then you do your research right there
In one spot.
about the bar because that's just one category of many that you're like, you're not ready to get there yet. So if you get into the membership, if you decide to go in there, you're just like, oh my gosh, give us a minute. Like you're going to navigate it. You're going to figure
Mhm.
out how to get through. You can always reach out to us, like, cause you're almost like you have us on
Mhm.
direct line to
That's the whole point too,
us
right?
to help you.
Wedding besties on speed dial. And we really take it seriously. Any type of feedback, questions, issues with accessing stuff, like I'm right there to respond. So, the other thing that's important to note is if you sign up for the membership, you can cancel anytime, right? We're not going to hold you in there for any certain period. People are getting married at different times, and so they're gonna cancel once the wedding is over, and we get that, right? So, it's really not a huge obligation at that point,
It's
so
not like that gym membership that you can't get out of.
there's no contract or anything like that crazy.
You know something funny? Like I was telling the pest guy who was here the other day because he said the same thing. We have really big spiders that are appearing around the
Yeah, we
house,
do.
and my wife and children are
Me
like,
no
ah,
likey,
I get
no
like if
likey.
I hear a scream from the other room, I'm like, let me guess, spider. So we had the finally had the guy come out to spray the house, but he was saying you cancel any time, and I go, it's not like the gym membership that you can't get out of. Somebody said I was like, I didn't want this gym membership, and they were like, well, the only way you can get it, I said, I'm military. Can you not let me out? They were like, "Well, you have to show us your orders." I'm like,
Jeez, to
"Okay."
get out of the gym membership?
Yeah, I brought them some orders to show them
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
redeploying,
A lot
like,
of that's
I'm
gone away though,
PCSing.
because people have, like,
Yes, it's
really fought
ridiculous.
back because it's absolutely
But
ridiculous,
that's
right?
how ridiculous it was back in the day. They would
Right.
not let me out of that membership. I was like, "Okay," but that's not the case. That's all the more reason for us to say, "Yeah, if it's not your thing."
Right, or you don't feel it's appropriate for where you're at and the planning, or you don't like it, I mean, that's fine. That is totally okay because we're already just starting to build this core group and it's really exciting, right? Like we see them every week because we do the meetups weekly. And we're asking questions, we're asking where they're at based on what they said last week, and it's just really that is the intention, and we're so excited that that's the direction it's going. So,
You know what we had last night? Our first, because what are we, like, half a dozen meetups in already? How many have we done?
we've done 5.
5? Last night, the first groom. It
Yes!
was our first groom. He was sitting down with his fiancée, and, we started talking about the outfits, and he was talking I said, "You should go listen to the podcast because if the groom" everyone else he was saying, "We're not wearing jackets, the guys are gonna be in suspenders," and I said his name was Mike. I go, "Mike, you should be in a vest because then you kinda separate," and they both looked at each other like, "Ooh, that's a great idea," and I go, "That's a
Mhm.
great idea," and he goes, "We're wearing caps too," and he ran away, and I go, Where do you" I was like, "Okay," and he comes back with his cap, and he's like, "Look at
So
the caps we're
excited,
wearing." I'm
so
like,
cute.
"Come on." Me and Mike, we bonded. I wore the cap. It was cute.
I love it. I
But
love
he was
it.
all excited to show us all of us his cap, and he was the only guy on there besides me. I was like,
It's
"Let's
all
get some
good.
grooms on here. That's awesome."
Yeah, I'm sure it'll evolve that way too. We'd get a lot
Moms,
of
we've had
moms
moms,
on
yeah.
there, yep.
Of course, there was
We
moms
always
on
get
there.
the moms. So you guys, that really should help you understand, what the membership looks like, everything that's included, and kind of how it works. And we hope that if you're interested in it, you'll go and you can check out the landing page that has all the descriptions. If you want to sign up, go ahead. Remember, no obligation. So,
But
have
it's a
anything?
lot. Don't, like, have your brain explode because you're like, "It's too much."
It's not too much.
It's a lot. It's a
It's
lot. It's just
information.
it is, but
Can look at it whenever and however
yeah,
they want.
and it's designed logically, like, so it's just like but you just gotta piddle around with it. It's like when you get the new phone, you're like, "Oh, darn it, I don't know how to"
Yeah, exactly.
a month later or weeks later or a few days later, you're like, "Pick, pick, pick," you're, like, in a zone with your phone, but you have to kinda settle in, right?
Absolutely. And
There
we're
you
there
go.
to help.
So we will end this podcast like we do all of them, with the exception of we always say, like, "It's your day, do you." But the membership, you really have to do the membership. Is that 10%? That's
Yeah,
all
no, you're
like
forced.
yeah, you're forced to do the membership. I'm just kidding. If ever there was a day, don't let somebody talk you into something you don't wanna do or talk you out of something you have your heart set on. Just do you.
Absolutely. And we will seal it with our kiss.
Here it comes.
Ready? Mwah.
Mwah.
Happy
Bye.
wedding planning.
Hey, so thanks for listening to our podcast. If you found any of this information helpful and you know somebody who may be engaged or is a maid of honor, maybe you could tell them and share it with a friend.
Absolutely. So screenshot this episode, share it on Instagram, on Facebook, and tag the wedding duo. We promise to share the love back. Also, if you are interested in more resources or the show notes, you can go to theweddingduo.co. We have one-on-one virtual sessions, a shop, all sorts of fun stuff. Check it out.